there is a story raising fresh concerns about Nigeria's electoral future. There is a report alleging that elements within the Independent National Electoral Commission may be working behind the scenes to tilt the 2027 elections in favor of a political party. According to an insider claims in that report, the strategy involves manipulating voter registration, exploiting loopholes in the results viewing portal, and recruiting compromised election officials. While these claims have not been independently verified, they add to the long-standing debate about trust, transparency, and the legacy of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who senior, by the end of this year, is coming to an end as INEC chairman. At the heart of the allegation is a senior INEC official whose name was mentioned prominently in that report, who is said to be in the grooming as a possible successor to Professor Yakubu. Sources are suggesting he has played a central role in controversial electoral operations in recent years. INEC has yet to respond formally to the reports and allegations, heavy allegations that are made in that report, which could taint integrity of the elections of 2027 that is not even conducted yet. But critics are warning that even the perception of such a plot risks deepening public mistrust in Nigeria's electoral system, with preparations already underway for 2027. The story raises important questions about the credibility of future elections and the broader health of Nigeria's democracy. Let's get someone who also understands how this plays out. He's the Chancellor of the Athena Center for Leadership here in Abuja and a former Minister of Aviation. Mr. Osita Chidoka is live for us here in our Abuja studio. Thanks so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Sean.
You must have read that story.
Yes, I did.
How concerning. If this is true, and there are layers upon layers of, and as journalists, when there are reports indicating insider information, there are a lot of things that insiders could tell you that could then make the story that you publish as an outlet. But what was the biggest worry for you in that sort of story?
The biggest worry is the appointment of chairman of INEC. That's the big elephant in the room, in my view. Because the president has powers to appoint the INEC chairman and the INEC commissioners. But the law kind of created a pathway for him. So he first goes to the National Council of States and seeks their advice. Their opinion is advisory. So he seeks their advice. Then he makes the nomination. Then he goes to the Senate. As the Senate clears, then he becomes chairman. So at the point where the president takes it to the National Council of States, it's at the point when I think it goes public. It allows the public to do a referendum on the characters appointed. Now, if you look at the history of the National Assembly, the Senate, in approving appointments, I don't see any reason for them to reject anybody the president puts forward. I don't know if the president will go seek the advice of the National Council of State. But if he follows that process and Nigerians talk, then it takes us back to 2010, when President Jonathan nominated Professor Jega. He nominated a host of national commissioners. Amongst them were 4 people that the Action Congress then protested about. They protested about Ambassador Anka. They protested about Major General Bagudu Maman. They protested about Watarali from Enugu. Eventually, President Jonathan dropped Major General Bagudu Maman for being a PDP member, dropped Ambassador Anka, and then the rest went on to be cleared. So the idea that we have to bring somebody, when Jega's name was mentioned, there was no protest, because the people in the country felt that was a man that could conduct a credible election. So where I have issue is that all of the technologies, and INEC has made tremendous progress in their use of technology. So we at the Athena Center, we conduct audits of the election. And we come here, I sit with you here, and we show the mistakes, we show the challenges, the issues, the gaps in the election. But you know that what made it possible for us to talk about the gaps is the technology. If INEC was to give us the register of voters where they ticked the people that voted and gave it to us in 1,000 polling, 2,000 polling units, we'll be looking at it 1 month after the election. And if we go ahead to look for what we do with the beavers, they just download it, print a PDF copy, and we export it to an Excel file and we review it immediately. So we think that there has been tremendous progress in the technology in INEC. Now, can that technology be tampered with? That is the story that the Sahara Reporters is talking about, that there is a plan to tamper with the technology. My view are two-pronged. If the political parties agree, then it can be tampered with. The problem we have in Nigeria is, one of the major challenges is the failure of the political parties to mobilize their resources at the polling unit level, to be able to wait there till INEC uploads its results and they too upload to their own server. The political parties just have to wake up, because we can't allow discretion only to people who conduct elections. In the US, there are election labs that take a stratified sample of the election materials and sample it before the results are announced. They are quickly doing it. Professors, universities are called in to take a stratified sample to check that it is consistent with what was planned to be done. So I am thinking that the issue of printing 2 result sheets and uploading one from IREV is a non-starter.
So there are major issues, and I'll ask you a very direct question. You've been in politics long enough to know the nuances of an average Nigerian politician. Is it standard behavioral pattern of a Nigerian politician to start looking at institutional pitfalls and ways of manipulating an election 2 years before election? Does it look like the attitude of an average Nigerian politician?
Yes, that was our attitude before 2011.
So, the report is alleging, the report is alleging that there are efforts and grand plan to manipulate or groom someone who is already in the books of certain politicians to head INEC.
Yes.
That's on one hand.
Yes.
That is institutional administration.
Correct.
For you to be able to have someone who has a taint already taking charge of INEC. On the other hand is institutional breach and manipulation.
Yes.
To look at the IREV and the technologies of how to infiltrate it.
Yes.
And these are very, very worrying.
No, they didn't even think about how to infiltrate it. They made a simple solution, according to the report, that they will print 2 original from EC8As, give one to the APC, that's what the report says, and they will preload it, and that's the one they will upload to the IREV. And when you come to go to court, the one INEC will certify is the one that was preloaded, because they are the makers of the document. So they won't certify the one that happened in the field. You get my point? So I am saying, where will the political parties be? Where will Nigerians be when the result from my polling unit is uploaded, and then I go up to the IREV and there's another result that is there at that moment? Why are you going to collation? Why are the political parties going forward to the collation? Why would they not mobilize their party to be at the collation point to say, this is the result, the physical result that came. This is the IREF that came. That is why I am interested in the amendment of the law. Because it is the INEC guideline that says to the collation officer. If you remember when we used to do it on the states, I would say the result was tampered with by the electoral officer, by the PO. And when he got to the collation center sector officer accepted it. Instead of saying, hold on a minute, where is the BVAS? How many people were accredited in the BVAS? 30. How many total of results is here? 60. That is cancellation immediately. Automatic cancellation. And let me tell you the good news. In 80% of the polling units we reviewed, here on your screen, the results were correct. The people did not tamper. It's only about 20% of the evil ones in INEC, those people that do this damage. They're about 10 to 15%, sometimes 20 in some states. The results are tampered with, and it alters the results. So that is why I'm saying that the 80% of the people, most times, will not agree because they don't want their name tainted. Now that we've started the naming and shaming from the Athena Center, I saw them in Edo, some refusing to sign their name, said they will publish my name. because they don't want their names published. So now that we are getting to that point, I'm saying that the political parties need to invest in the infrastructure that will be vigilant on election day. Because printing those two results is going back to 2003.
Yeah. So
that's
quick one.
Yes.
If someone comes and says, Chidoka stole, Osita stole my phone.
Yes.
It might be true, it might be false.
Yes.
If you add your name in that line, what would you do? You want to prove and clear your name, isn't it?
Definitely.
So if these allegations are true or false,
yes,
the APC has been mentioned in that story.
Yes.
The story might all be false and it might be true because it's based on insider.
Yes.
That means people in INEC who are now saying they are privy to an agenda against the election of 2027.
Yes.
Now, INEC becomes culpable.
Yes.
And the APC,
yes,
his name is being dragged into it. Albeit, even the institution of the APC officially may not be aware. Yes. It might just be some people. So, what do you think these two institutions should be doing to clear their name?
First of all, I know that the president will not appoint the man as INEC chairman.
The man being mentioned,
The man being mentioned.
Okay.
That's a no-no. So
why do you think so?
That he should not even go there because it's already tainted. This is what you're saying.
Yeah.
If under normal circumstances.
So that man's name, intentionally, we try not to dwell on the man's name.
Ultimately, if he was in charge of election infrastructure, then he should move to another department.
Yes, he's in charge of election operations before election, HR and all of that.
Whatever, he should go to another place because already the real infrastructure for election is not technology. It is the integrity of the process. It is the people. Because if you lose public trust, then the election is tainted. Then you will continue to carry within you a burden of a tainted election. Even though many people say they will not mind in Nigeria. But I think that what we have done at the Athena Center, and we're doing it on October 6th, we're having a dialogue on INEC. We're reviewing the technologies of 2015 to 2025. So far we've done 3 pre-event workshops, 2. Now, tomorrow is the 3rd one. And we've listened to the political parties. We've listened to the National Assembly where they are on the process of amending the law. Tomorrow we'll listen to the civil societies. And then on the 6th, we'll bring out our report showing the INEC technologies, how they have worked, where they have gone wrong, and what can be done to fix that challenge. So we're not going to call and just say this is the problem. So, like I said, in 80% of the cases resulting from EC8A, EC8B was correct. They moved it along. But in 20%, in many states, in Imo State, it was 3 local governments. In Kogi, it was 3 local governments. These 3 local governments were used to obtain the results, generally, or inflate the figures. So we're saying, what can we do to stop this small percentage that is used to alter election results? That's where we are. And INEC will learn a lot because we've invited INEC. We've said to them, please come. We're not responding. Yes, they are responding because it is critical. This is at a stage where we've invited the stakeholders. We've invited these international sponsors, everybody, and say, listen, we're not here to criticize. We're here to listen to each other. This is what has happened. This is what we saw in this. And these are the ways to close the gap. Is it possible for us to make this before the final amendments of the law? And I think that what will make election of 2027 a very important election and a defining election is if it continues the progress that have been made so far and deepens it. Because when President Jonathan was confronted with the people who were said to be card-carrying members of party, people who were tainted, he removed them. He withdrew the nomination.
All right. Give me a moment. We need to go on a break. But look, if you know that your house is going to be invaded and you are pre-warned about it, what would you do? And that is the fear that if election of 2027, there is a grand plan to already manipulate the election. How much of danger does this portend for our democracy? And that's the fight that we must all fight. And that conversation continues after this break, everyone. Join us again. Much everyone for staying with us. It's a worrying scenario playing out. I pray this is not correct or this report is a ruse, but if this is true, it portends a lot of danger. A report that there are now grand plans ahead of 2027 to manipulate who becomes the next INEC chairman because of a reputation of a man who is said to be in the grooming for the job. And there are also plans to manipulate the technology, manipulate people on the inside to ensure that election of 2027 is tilted. Osita Chidoka is the Chancellor of Federal Center for Leadership, has been talking to us on this matter and how dangerous this scenario could play out if it is true. But there is a role of the citizen in all of this scheme, right? Because citizens are supposed to participate in the electoral process.
Yes.
But if it's skewed and tilted, then what could the citizen do? Because if people become agitated when they know that whatever they are going into, the result will not be the reflection of their effort, then it becomes the distrust. That's where the distrust comes. But what could citizens, what could they do in this particular scenario that have been played out?
That's where technology has come to our aid in today's world. I am one of those who keep insisting that citizens should vote. People should go out and vote. The politicians like to talk about how they will rig the election. Part of it is to discourage people coming out to vote. So sometimes you are there sitting down and thinking every result has been written, and then you are shocked when you go and you start hearing the announcement of the results. So the progress we've made now is that results are declared at the polling unit, the form EC8A, and it's taken to the ward level. And this form EC8A, once it is done, is uploaded onto the IREF. The challenge, and what I hear the people saying, is that they are going to tamper with that process, and that in 2023 it was tampered with, and we saw a situation where the results were not being uploaded to the IREF. But there is a secondary procedure going on at the same time, which is the manual procedure that is going on. As the results are uploaded from the polling unit, the results is now taken to the ward collation center. The political parties are present at these two important points. The citizens can be present. So what we need is the fact that when they were doing the election in Ghana, the moment the parties collated their results, they knew that they had lost and they knew who had won. Mahama knew he had won. And the Electoral Commission only confirmed what everybody had known. Before they even announced the final results, the incumbent vice president has congratulated Mahama. So a situation where we are still waiting for INEC as the sole arbiter, it's a major weakness in Nigeria.
I've seen something play out though.
Yes.
And I make reference to some of this scenario. I remember covering election in Osun State.
Yes.
I think this was the re-election of Rauf Aregbesola.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was a re-election. There is a roundabout called the Okefia roundabout. At that roundabout, there is an LED screen, which literally illuminates the junction at night. Guess what was happening? What to charge the political parties to be doing to track the result by themselves. And I know political parties do, they have their own data center and all of that to track the result. But beyond that, there needs to be stronger technology to be able to, and a better way to do it. Guess what happened? Almost everyone in Oshogbo, on the day when INEC was collating the results, they were the alternative place because they could not gather at INEC office.
Yes, of course.
They gathered at the Okefia roundabout. Some of them didn't even have electricity in their homes. So it was somewhat a television, as far as I'm concerned, in the middle of the street. And they were watching the screen. And they saw how the results from a political party was being displayed on the screen.
Yes.
Guess what? The whole town is already aware of how the results was being collated.
That's it.
I'm not saying that's right. But yeah, that is one way to say, if citizens are privy, and people, and Channel Television and one of our partners, we've done that in the past, where we were tracking results from the polling unit through alternative technology.
Yes.
When you already know, so manipulation becomes difficult.
So that's the major point. There is nobody that is good enough for us to trust him with our lives and give him the discretion to determine our future. It is a collective responsibility. And I keep insisting, political parties in Nigeria have insisted on having ward ESCO, local government ESCO, and state ESCO. But the challenge is that their business, the work they do, elections, are done at the polling units, not at the ward. So if the political parties can frame up their presence in the polling unit and are able to collect their results with their own pin copies of the results already attached, put together, ready to show before the collation starts at the World Collation Center, I can assure you that there is very little anybody can do, except, which is the big fear, and this is important, Sean, I want you to look at this. That's the big fear. The big fear is that we may then say, people have been criticizing this technology. The big fear is that people will say, these technologies are causing us problems. Let's go back to manual process. And going back to that manual process will mean that you can then sit in Abuja and announce a result, because there is no more process of tracking what is going on. So it is important that we do not mix two issues in this issue. We don't conflate two issues. The integrity of INEC staff is one issue. Their plan to rig the system is one issue. But the use of this technology and the governance of the technology is where we have been putting pressure on at the Athena Center. We believe that INEC has made tremendous progress. Tremendous. But there is still no yet governance and audit mechanism that will say after the fact. And I gave the example when JAMB had the glitch. They called some of us into the room and opened their systems to us. And we looked at it and I came out and said, no, this is not a target plan against the Southeast. So many people were angry with me. But I saw the data, I reviewed it, and I said, give the children the exam again. They will take it again. So that is where we are with INEC. Because it's a ball match where the people don't trust the referee. The match is doomed. So, in summary, and we saw what happened in Ghana, in South Africa, and in Kenya. Yes, in Kenya. These are African countries. We are bigger than them in numbers and in the progress that we have made in terms of electoral journey. You have charged the President Bola Tinubu, in appointment. Secondly, you have also asking the conscience of the people who work at INEC. And the other thing is the citizen of Nigeria, they cannot be docile. They have to stand up. We have to stand up. In Kenya, you mentioned the case of Kenya. The party, Ruto's party had a whole 3-level situation room, gathering the results. There are people who are returning it, traveling all night with the copies of the result. And by morning, they knew they had won. All right. So there is no business. We're sitting down here and saying, oh, we are waiting. Nobody sits down to wait for himself to be slaughtered. So I think that progress has been made. If not for the technology, we won't be able to identify the flaws we show here. But we need to take a step further. We need to take one step further. Thank you so much. And that's why on the 6th of October at the Yaradua Center, we'll be looking at it and we'll be presenting to INEC a review of these technologies and what we think should happen next. Osita Chidoka is the Chancellor of the Athena Center for Leadership and the former Minister of Aviation. Thanks so much indeed for your time tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it. Very good. That's our show today. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Okimale. God bless Nigeria.